Hi, everybody. Today we're going to walk through the steps of preparing a graphic for a t-shirt design. And we're going to use a few tools in Illustrator to set it up and to do a drawing and then to do spot color to help set up our artwork to make it work. So let's get started and see where it takes us. All right, so what I've already done is prepared this file, which is based on this pirate image I see over here on the side. And I'm imagining that what I want to do is create kind of a line art version of this in Illustrator and then do some separated color. Now, I don't have time to go through the detail of doing every single detail mark on this, the eye patch and the bones and all that, which I might spend a couple hours actually doing in Illustrator. But I want to show you the basic options available to you so that you can kind of set up your artwork and think about separating into spot colors. Because when it comes to t-shirt design, what you're trying to do is create solid colors to represent different pieces of the graphic. And you're going to avoid any type of gradient. You're going to want to avoid any kind of transparency or detail line. So what we're really trying to do is create something that works as solid color, silhouette, has very graphic qualities, and Illustrator is perfect for that. So first step is going to be to pick our drawing tool. Now I'm going to use a Wacom tablet, just a little Intuos tablet, and I'm going to trace this. I could certainly come in with my pen tool and recreate this, tracing it. But what I'm going to avoid on this drawing is all these hatch lines. I don't really want that level of detail. Instead, I'd like more solid, bold lines. So let's say I'm going to use my pencil. I want to set up my pencil so that it has some of the drawing quality that you get when illustrating on paper. So I'm going to double click the pencil and kind of set up the settings. I like the smoothness. I'm going to uncheck keep selected. So when I draw a line, it's going to let go and I can continue drawing somewhere else. And so those settings look pretty good. I like smoothing because it's going to correct my line as I go. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up my stroke. By default, the pencil tool goes back to a basic, simple, round appearance. I need to change that. So I'm going to select that line and I'm going to click on my stroke settings and I'm going to increase that line to be pretty thick. And I'm also going to use the thick and thin line profile. Now, for the pencil to remember that setting, I also have to adjust a little known setting in the appearance palette. This is something that took me a long time to find, and once I finally found it, it changed my life. So I'm going to go here to my window, and I'm going to go to Appearance. All right, and under the Appearance palette, I'm going to select the drop-down menu on the side, and I'm going to uncheck New Art has basic appearance. This setting is what tells the pencil to revert to the basic setting every time. So now that I've unchecked that, I can double check and see it's unchecked. Now when I make a drawing with the pencil tool, it's going to remember the brush stroke I just made. Amazing. All right. So I can now draw over the skull, just kind of creating my lines. I'm not going to be super careful on where I'm drawing the lines. In fact, I'm not going to worry about overlapping the lines. I'm going to let the lines just kind of go over the top of one another, even crisscross. No big deal. What I'm trying to do here is just get all the lines to touch. Okay, maybe I'll draw another detail line here. A couple more little marks. Yeah, those teeth look pretty cool. All right. Yeah. Now, See how that line is a little thick? Maybe I want to use a little bit of a thinner line for the teeth. So what I'm going to do is go to my stroke palette and lower the setting a little bit on those. And then now my pencil will remember a thinner line. Okay. These teeth are going to be a little wonky because I drew them kind of fast, and I'm really not worrying about my drawing being perfect right now. Just trying to get through the quick little demo here to show you how you can do it. All right, now the eyes and the nose. I want to have kind of a dark, deep set area there. So I can switch from using the pencil to the blob brush. And this one's kind of fun. I can use it to fill in a large area. Actually, I'm going to double click the blob brush and change its settings. Right now it's set, I'm going to increase the smoothness, but it's set to a fixed size. So I'm going to change this to pressure sensitive so that it has a variation depending on how hard I press. So if I press lightly, it's smaller. If I press larger, or press harder, it gets larger. Yeah. I can adjust the size of the blob brush using the bracket keys on my keyboard. And I can just kind of fill in, and see it has that smoothness on it, which is nice to create the smoothing effect. Kind of fill it in. Good. Make it a little bit smaller with the bracket key. And now do the nose. Kind of scribble and color it in. All right, so the whole point of this is to work on the outline first, especially when you're doing t-shirt design. You want a bold line that's going to show through your shirt. So bold, thick line always work better on the mesh when you're exposing your screens and creating your artwork. All right, so now I've got kind of the basic of my pirate drawn. The lines are connected and touching, which is good. And so now what I'm going to do is kind of fix it and fix any defects and then work on adding spot color. So looking at this, you can see there are a couple spots where the lines overlapped, or maybe they didn't fill in all the way. I could spend some time kind of fixing things and improving things. But like here in particular is an area where that line extends over the other one. Now, if I shorten it, it makes it really thin, but I don't really care that it overlaps. So to fix it, and here's another one that isn't quite touching, so I'm going to move it. Okay, to fix it, I have to do a little conversion. So once I finish doing my drawing, I have a combination here of shapes and stroke lines. I need them all to now become shapes. So I'm going to select all the pieces. And again, this is a step you only want to do when you're totally done with your drawing, because you can't fix it after this. In fact, I might even just make a copy of this, drag it over to the side, and have the original off to the side and keep a copy here that I'm going to work with. So first step is going to be to go ahead and convert these paths to outlines. So under the object menu, I'm going to go to outline stroke. What that will do is it will convert all of those special stroke lines into shapes. So I'm going to do that. And now you can see they're overlapping. All right. And here's the little trick. Now that they're outlined, I can use, in the Pathfinder, I can use what's called divide. What divide does is anywhere a shape overlaps something else, it's going to make a cut. So if I click on divide, it didn't really change anything visually, but what it did do was it sliced every overlapping line. So now all I have to do is use my direct selection arrow to come in and click that offending piece and delete it, and it goes away. So now those little line segments, those stray marks, wherever they overlapped, can be deleted and removed to kind of clean up the drawing area. Those teeth are jacked up, but I don't care. All right. Now that we have that in place, we're able to start adding color. So what we're going to do is decide what our colors are going to be. I don't have the bandana or some of the other detail marks. So for this might turn into like a 4-color design where I have the line color, the skull color, then a shadow color, and then maybe a highlight color. And you'll see how those will come together in a second. So here what I do is I'm going to go ahead and select all the pieces. And to quickly color the entire shape, I'm going to go ahead and use the paint bucket. And just a reminder, whenever you use the paint bucket, it alters your artwork into a paint group. This can be a little bit annoying when you're using a paint group because what happens is that area becomes locked and you're not able to edit it like normal vector art until you're finished painting. So just keep in mind when you start using the paint group, it does cause a little issue. So I'm going to have it selected, come over here, change to my paint bucket. And for now, I think I'm going to use my eyedropper and just click on a color. Oops. Okay, here's the problem. Because I had the artwork selected and I clicked the eyedropper, it changed everything. So let me deselect first, get that color. Now I'll reselect, switch back to the paint bucket, and then come back in and just click and drop in that color. And see how it kind of fills in. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There's a residual stray mark here, so I'll click that, color it, and try to drop in color in between these teeth, these ragged teeth. Now, like I said, the paint bucket is the easiest way to fill in color in a drawing or an object that has solid lines. And again, those solid lines are preferred for vector and for t-shirt art. Okay, so now it's a paint group. Notice how there are these little asterisk squares on the corners of the bounding box. That's your best indication that you have a paint group on your page. Again, what does that mean? That means that it's hard to alter the artwork or use any of your direct selection or other drawing tools on the vector art because it's a locked paint group. So once you finish adding the base color, we need to take the additional step of going to the live paint option and expanding it. Okay, what expand does is it basically releases the paint group and allows it and merges the artwork into normal vector art. So I'm going to hit expand. And now you see that bounding box changed and it looks like typical vector art, which means that with our tools, we can select those pieces and do things with them like we would normally. All right, this next technique is to then take the knife tool and make some slices on this artwork to make our subdivided color. So right now we're up to 2 colors, the gray tone of the skull, the black tone of the line art. Now I want to add a shadow color and a highlight color. So I'm going to go ahead and select all the artwork again. And this time I'm going to change to the knife tool. And remember, the knife tool is connected to the eraser and the scissor tool. It's hidden there. Don't confuse the knife tool with the X-Acto blade. That's the slice tool. So we are using the knife. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut through the artwork. You need to make sure that you use that knife and you go through every piece, that you don't do an open-ended slice. It's not going to separate any artwork if you don't make a connected cut. So I'm going to take that knife and go across the edge here down this left side, and I'm going to pretend that this left side is my shadowy side. So I'm going to do that. Maybe add a little enhanced shadow here under and around that eye. Same thing on this side. I'm trying to pay attention and make sure that I cross the edges, that I go over every side. Cross black boundaries, that means that the artwork will be cut. Okay, now that that's done, I can go in with my direct selection arrow and click a piece. And that piece that was cut is now selectable. Now I could use my eyedropper and pick up another color off of this sample if I want. And I can go through and then pick pieces and use that eyedropper to pick those pieces and colorize those areas. Now that dark color is a little bit too dark for me, but I can fix that a little bit later. Good. So a couple spots I missed, but I can fix those later. Let's say I don't like that brown color and it's not quite right. I'm going to use the magic wand to click on that brown area, and notice how it just selected those areas I already colored that dark brown. I can go in now to my color picker and double click the fill box, and I can alter that color a little bit, and it's going to alter all of them together, which is nice. A couple little missing spots. I'm going to go ahead and fix those. There you go. Too tiny to grab. I'm going to ignore it for now. Okay, so now that I've done those pieces, oh, I forgot under the nose. I did that too, didn't I? Okay, that's good. That's better. Now I'm going to add some highlight. So I'm going to go back and select. Then I'm going to go here with my knife tool again and decide where I want some highlights. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of do a large piece over the side, maybe another piece on the cheek, another piece here, a little sliver here. Okay, now I can go in and select those pieces. This time I'm going to go ahead and just select that piece, go to the color picker, pick a lighter color right off. Yeah, and then go in and use my direct selection tool and the eyedropper. To add a few of those highlight pieces. Okay, so not perfect. I would definitely spend a lot more time perfecting this, but what I have now is a 4-color design. I have base color, shadow, highlight, and line color. Ready for spot colors. All right, now when creating your artwork for spot colors, we can convert using Pantone colors, or we can even just make manual spot colors. So the quickest way to just make a manual spot color is to do this. I'm going to go ahead and use my magic wand, click on that light color. Oh, look at that. It picked up too much brown. This tan, this light tan, is too close to that medium tan. That just means my magic wand is too sensitive. So I can go in and decrease the sensitivity of my magic wand. Double click it. See how the tolerance is set to 20? I'm going to lower that down to like 10 and see if that changes the sensitivity. That was all it needed, was down to 10. Sometimes you have to go even lower on that tolerance. But now it's selected just that tan color. While I have that tan color selected, I'm going to click on the new swatch button in the swatch palette. And then it's going to ask me what kind of a swatch I'm going to make. I'm going to leave it set to global, but I'm going to change it from process and I'm going to call it a spot color. Okay, it's still going to look like a process color, but I'm calling it a spot color. And that means that it's going to put it in as a spot color swatch in my swatch palette. The visibility of that color is the same as before, not a problem, but it's going to act like a spot color. And I need that if I was ever going to do the printing separation process, which I can show you at another time. But what I want to do is for each color used in my artwork, I want to create a fake spot color. It's not a fake spot color, but it's a custom spot color. So I'm going to click on the brown, do the same thing, click new swatch, change process to spot, and click OK. Notice how it's adding those spot color swatches there. And last but not least, I'm going to do the same thing to the black and click on that and create that spot color. Now it's going to know that those colors are spots, and those will be used later on in the separation process. All right, so that's one way to make a custom drawing, to use either the pencil tool or the blob brush, the knife tool and the paint bucket to tune up your art and then create your spot colors. There's a lot that can go into this, and there are different ways to modify your artwork after the fact, but those basic steps are important to follow. Do the line art first. That's going to make it much easier to color and to control where you put the color. And then last step in the process is to go back and add those spot colors so you can do your separations when the time comes. All right, so that's a good start for today. See you next time.